Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream where I thought we would just be discussing the Golden Globe nominations. But then David Ellison said, "Not today, Hollywood liberal elite," and launched a hostile takeover for Warner Brothers. So we have a lot to discuss. And I think it might be interesting. I think I might redo or reformat my live stream. So this is an interesting time. At least Hollywood is in the news. So yes, popcorn indeed, Lila. Popcorn indeed. It's so nice to see so many of you joining me on this Monday. We're busy, busy, busy. Box office report yesterday. Welcome to Dairy Breakdown last night. And then all hell breaks loose the second time in a couple of days in Hollywood. But we got to start out. It's the first stream of the week. That means time to gift some memberships. I see some of you have already started. X-Men Superfan, so generous. Hey, Pixie in New Jersey. Danny donated. I really appreciate it. Let me give some memberships myself. Always gifting some memberships there because you guys inspire me with your own generosity. And I know that a lot of people are tuned in, who aren't members, and I really, really appreciate that. Thanks, Michael. Okay, so we're going to go through two topics today. We're going to do the David Ellison hostile takeover, and then we'll do the Golden Globes. And after each section, I will do a little bit of a Q&A. Because, part of me was wondering if I should do two separate live streams today. Hey, Jander. But I was like, hey, if you're here, you're here. You're going to want to talk about all this stuff. For some of you, it's lunch. Some of you, it's the morning. Some of you, it's the evening. If you're over there in Europe, bonjour, hello, guten tag. And I thanked X-Men Superfan as well. But thank you, NGN8. That's very kind of you to look out for them. And so also you can always watch half the stream and then come back later, whatever works for you. That's why these things are live, but also available afterwards. Okay, so let's talk about the juiciest story, and that is not the Golden Globe nominations, but David Ellison, who not only is representing, not only has just, made this it's a situation with Warner Brothers is not over. It's crazy. Everybody was like, no, not Netflix. And now everybody's like, no, not Paramount. They're both such horrible options. You're like, well, I don't know. It's like, which way would you like to die? And you're like, neither. I think neither is good. Neither, please. But very interesting scenario. Lloyd, it would be great if Comcast could save us, but I believe Comcast is priced out at this point, unfortunately. Okay, so we're going to go over these, and we're going to talk about what's really interesting also. We're not only going to talk about the hostile takeover, but we're going to talk about what it really means, and that is, I think, a conservative takeover of Hollywood, which I think is fascinating. Anyone who spent any time on YouTube or social media kind of knew this was coming. But let's see if they can do it. As you can see, I referenced right here Nelson Peltz and Disney. Remember, Nelson Peltz was like, I'm sure if I took the vote to the shareholders, they would put me on the board. And they didn't. So don't underestimate how much people who are into entertainment are. But I think that's also changing, interestingly enough. All right, so let's get started. Where's my arrow? Okay. Boopity boop boop boop. Thanks, Wiki Nomad. Is that a dog on your head? That's adorable. Okay, all right. So nice to see so many of you joining the chat. And even if you can't join the chat, I look forward to reading your comments down below. You're just as much a part of this conversation, and I'm happy to have you here. All right, so here we go. Story number one. David Ellison announcement. So he didn't waste any time, and good for him. He doesn't want you to get used to the Netflix deal. Also, I think he's trying to seem like Hollywood's savior. He's like, I know you don't like that Netflix deal. I'll rescue you. And again, people are like, anyone else? Does anyone else want to rescue me? He started a website called Stronger Hollywood, and he feels that he is he's going to save the day. So for him, I'm not surprised that he's doing this. I can see a number of people are saying he's desperate here. There are a lot of people online saying he's Kendall Roy in real life, which I think is pretty funny. Kendall Roy came awfully close to getting it, though, and some of us felt he should have. Although, of course, the message of Succession is that Tom was the perfect executive, bad and good, right? And I always thought that was one of the best things about that show, that anybody would have picked Tom to run their company for them because he was what you want in a number two, right? Because somebody else owns the actually owns the overall company. Fascinating stuff. But yeah, if, as we discussed on Friday, if Paramount doesn't get Warner Brothers, they might as well just throw in the towel. Their studio will be so puny and wimpy, you know, the Ellisons will wonder why they even bothered. Their plan from the beginning was to buy Warner Brothers. Maybe they shouldn't have talked about it so much. And so I think that, you know, they kind of like feel that Netflix, yoink, not only stole their deal, but stole their idea. And there's no one else to buy. They could go buy Universal, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I think there's a chance. Because I think I don't even think the Netflix deal will pass, to be honest with you. Well, let's discuss. I do think it's an interesting Hollywood culture clash, right? Both good and bad. Why would Universal sell, Madav? Thank you, Mary. Universal would sell because Universal just split into two. They also split into the movie division, the movies and TV, and everything else. And now they're too small. That's why they wanted Warner Brothers as well. They're too tiny. You know, you joke that Paramount could buy Disney, Araman, but then the Netflix coverage, it was reported that at one point Netflix was considering buying Disney, which makes me want to throw up. But anyway, I mean, I'm upset about the Warner Brothers situation, but I'd be apoplectic if anyone tried to buy Disney. Okay, so the culture clash. You know, everybody in Hollywood's very polite. You know, there's this wonderful famous cartoon in New Yorker, the New Yorker magazine, about they're trying to set a meeting, and the person on the phone says, "How about never? Is never good for you?" Because, you know, in business, particularly in Hollywood, you never say no to anybody because you never know when they're going to circle back. Hollywood is a business where things can change, you know? So the person you reject today, you might want to work with tomorrow. So Hollywood, in fact, is a town that hates to say no. So they always just kind of ghost you, you know, or say, "I'm going to think about it," or they come up with some excuse. But the Ellisons, you know, you would think that the Ellisons would just, I can't answer everybody's comments or questions because I got to be able to stay on topic because we have a lot to go through. I will do a Q&A in between each section. I guess you can maybe say it's passive aggressive. I would say it's corporate. Anyone who knows corporate speak knows this culture. But the Ellisons, as we discussed last week, are much more aggressive. They're a very aggressive company within their own company that they already have with Oracle. And now they're trying to take that kind of company culture to Hollywood. And it's the kind of, I think to some degree it's good because I think that Hollywood is kind of like getting to the point where they're eating their own tail, right? They're so polite to the point of nobody can give notes anymore, which we've discussed. You know, a lot of executives are afraid to give notes because they feel that the talent will go and run to social media and then they'll get fired or get in trouble. So I do think that Hollywood needs to be tougher. You know, I think that a lot of executives a lot of talent gets away with way too much because everybody's afraid to rein them in. But we don't want to go too far in the other direction either, you know, where you're insulting people. You know, Hollywood had a real problem. That's the whole reason the Me Too, I mean, yeah, I guess not saying stuff to a legal degree. But yeah, so I mean, like, we want to be somewhere in the middle here. I think that, you know, but part of this aggressiveness is not accepting this outcome, you know, to challenge it. You know, everybody's very polite. Golf clap, pinky extended in Hollywood. And you just don't see these kinds of aggressive moves. And so I think that it's very interesting to see the Ellis, you know, because there's nothing that they can do if there's nothing Warner Brothers can do if its shareholders approve this. But will they? As I said, Nelson Peltz tried to go around the board at Disney. He wanted a board seat for him and some other conservatives. He felt they were running Disney into the ground. But Bob Iger, who, you know, Bob Iger goes back and forth in terms of likability, right? I mean, he used to always be likable. Now it's up and down. But Bob Iger's a very shrewd businessman. And And Zazie makes him look good by comparison. He's like, I'm not Zazie. And everyone goes, that's true, Bob. And also they were so happy that he wasn't Bob Chapek anymore, even though Bob Chapek was his idea. He's like, who wants to do all the crappy parts of the job? And Bob Chapek was like, I want to do everything too. And it was a disaster. But yeah, Bob Iger was able to keep Nelson Peltz at bay. And in fact, Nelson Peltz didn't get a single board seat, even though he took it to the board. So David Ellison could be very surprised, that the shareholders could even agree, we don't want to go with you. But, again, the shareholders have an awful, awful decision in front of them. Do they want to kill? Well, let's go over. Well, hold on. We're not quite there yet. I guess I'll just say it. The shareholders have to decide if they want to kill the movie theater business or if they want to hand over 2 major studios to the conservative movement. Do they want to create a Fox Entertainment that would be both Warner Brothers and Paramount? That's the question at hand here. And you're like, third option? They're like, nope, these are your options. What is a hostile takeover? A hostile takeover is where they go directly to the shareholders and they say the board did not accept the best offer. So you guys have to go and you have to vote as to what deal you would like. So they have to go right to the shareholders. It involves a lot of campaigning, and there will be a vote, just like there would be a vote on any, shareholder issue. And so, it's going to take some time. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But what is the offer? So that's what a hostile takeover is. Instead of letting the board of directors decide, they take it directly. It's a vote. Instead of it would be like instead of letting the cabinet or the government, it's like when they take something to the public to vote for, instead of letting the government decide. It's the same thing. So Paramount says we're offering $30 a share. They did it. They went to 30. You can't come back with the same amount. They went to 30 and they said, we'll buy all of it. And they're going to do cash. They didn't clarify whether or not the Saudis were still involved, but they sure didn't list them in what they've discussed so far. But anyway, they'll pay $30 a share cash. Netflix will pay $27.75 a share. I mean, if you have a lot of shares, it makes a difference. And then also, of course, shareholders will get a cut of the spin-off company that Warner. Oh, the Saudis are involved, Tigress Blade? That's interesting. I guess it's so much money they have to be. Jared Kushner is still involved? That's... wow. This just got even crazier. Okay, so yeah, it looks like not only the Saudis, but Jared Kushner are involved. Jared Kushner is like, Trump family's making a lot of money. Are you making that up about Don Jr.? Is Don Jr. really involved? 1 second, I have to look that up because it's ridiculous. I just see Kushner. I just see Kushner. But I'm not looking closely because I'm in the middle of doing a live stream. Oh, gee, I wonder which one Trump will back. That's incredible. That's nuts. Jared Kushner just bought Electronic Arts with the Saudis as well. This is a hostile takeover of Hollywood by the conservatives. More and more so. I mean, I'm surprised that I'm that right. But this is incredible. All right, that's the next page. We're going to get to the next page in a moment. Okay. So that's the offer. 30 versus 27.75, but you're also getting additional stock in whatever the Warner Brothers spin-off company is with the cable and stuff, the Discovery thing. So the timetable now just got even longer. So now they have to campaign for the shareholder vote because they can't start moving ahead and say, are we going to do the Netflix deal? Because maybe they're not going to do the Netflix deal. The shareholders now have to decide. So now the shareholders will, both Netflix and Paramount will have to make their case to the shareholders. They'll probably vote relatively soon, but there needs to be enough time to make the cases as well. So that now we have to wait for that. It'll be interesting. Then there has to be government approval. Not only not only in the United States, but worldwide. Europe ain't happy about this either, man. So you're going to have, particularly because Netflix is a global company. So there's a lot to go on here. So that's going to take a very, very long time as well. Then there are potential lawsuits. Either way, the guilds are not happy about this kind of consolidation. The Writers Guild is particularly aggressive and effective. The Writers Guild is the scrappiest of the guilds, which I think is fascinating. They're the most aggressive. So the Writers Guild, but the DGA, SAG, they could all sue. And they're not happy about Paramount either. They feel that less options creates less opportunity and drives, less competition drives down opportunity and pay. And then, so because of how long this is going to take, Warner Brothers and HBO are effectively going to be on hold. What are they going to do? Who's going to make a deal with either of them? Because you don't know what it's going to be like over there in the next couple of months. Is the person you make your deal with going to get fired? Is the company, which way they're going to go? Is your movie going to go through Paramount to theaters or through Netflix to streaming? So people are going to be like, dude, I'm just going to go and try and sell my project somewhere else. So, and also the executives are going to be so nervous and so distracted and potentially looking for jobs themselves somewhere else that this is going to effectively put HBO and Warner Brothers on hold, particularly for new projects. So that's a real problem. And you're looking at a significant chunk of time here. Now then, of course, I can't believe that Jared Kushner is a major part of this deal. Wow. My goodness. Imagine if you were in Hollywood and you were like, here, I got to go to my meeting with Jared Kushner. Like, I was talking to someone and it was like, what if you were like on set making your project and then all of a sudden Donald Trump walks onto set and wants to take a picture with you because Paramount or Jared Kushner invited him without your knowledge because they knew you would say no. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to go run and hide in your trailer and be like, oh, I'm not here, I went to lunch, and then I'm not coming back? I think it's going to put a lot of people in Hollywood in a very tough position. Oh, because you don't know who Jared Kushner is? Jared Kushner is the son-in-law. He's Ivanka Trump's husband for the Baby All of This Is a Dream, Paul. It's actually happening. It's real life. So yeah. Oh, that's right. Maybe he'll want a cameo like he had in Home Alone 2, which has been removed from the film. Maybe they'll demand you put it back in. That's nuts. All right, so Jared Kushner is Donald Trump's son-in-law. He is a big business person. He comes from the Kushners. They're a big real estate family here in New York City. So Disney does own Home Alone, so they couldn't do that. But let's see how powerful the Trumps become in Hollywood, right? They always follow the Obamas everywhere. The Obamas, of course, are, very politely successful in Hollywood. But this is, of course, very different. So Jared Kushner is a big business person. He and Ivanka were very much involved in the first administration for Trump, found themselves really ostracized by a number of places they didn't want to be ostracized. So they've really taken a back seat and for the second administration, but they are really involved as you can see, from a business perspective. Donald Trump gets away with these business deals by not making them himself, but he has his family members do it. And so he is making dictator levels of business deals off of the American government, which we've never seen before. Usually you make the deals after you're president. We've never seen, I guess, there's no one stopping him, that's the problem, you're like, this is wrong, but you're like, they're just letting me get away with it, man. So you're like, it should be illegal, but no one's enforcing it. Okay. So yeah, they just, by the way, had the Kennedy Center honors last night where Trump pretended that he was on both sides. He was like, that Ted Sarandos is a pretty snazzy dude. Maybe because of that, Ellison called up Jared Kushner. David Ellison actually attended the Kennedy Center honors last night. And so that's amazing. So maybe he was like, hey, Jared, you want to go halvesies with me on Warner Brothers? And Jared was like, do I? Of course I do. Let's get into the movie business, baby. And you're like, oh my God. All right. So is this better than Netflix? Well, it would Well, let's talk about it. Well, there would be massive layoffs. I mean, I think you're kidding yourself if you don't think there would be massive layoffs for the Netflix deal. I mean, Netflix is a very, very, very well run, slim down company. Like they don't want the bloat of a whole new Warner Brothers arm. Like a lot of people are like, oh, don't be silly. Netflix won't even touch Warner Brothers. They'll just own it. No, they would let people go as well, but probably not as many as Paramount would, because there'd be major redundancies. That's the terminology. We have two publicity departments. We have two development offices. We have two distribution offices. You just don't need that many people. It's like when Disney bought Fox and there were massive layoffs. I mean, Skydance bought Paramount. They didn't consolidate nothing, and there were still massive layoffs. Anytime you buy something, you lay a lot of people off to help cover the costs of the purchase that you just made. So this will be a big problem. There'll be a lot of layoffs in particular if this happens, but layoffs can't be avoided in either scenario. Now, this morning, Paramount got on the phone and they said, look, we promise to release 30 movies a year in theaters. And you're like, what? How on earth could you do that? And they were like, shut up. We just want to, I mean, it's the opposite of Ted Sarandos' strategy of being ridiculously honest. Jose can't even stop laughing at the 30 films idea. That would be more than 2 films a month. So you're like, what? Like, how are you going to do that? How could you afford to do that? Maybe 2 movies a month, right? One from each studio. But I mean, look at how much at the end of the day, the Fox output went down. I mean, it's just not reasonable that they could release that many movies per year, because that's what some people are concerned about. They're like, because also it's the same studio. So this is what we're talking about losing the competitive nature. Competition is good for business and it's good for the customer. So how do you do that when you are the exact same studio? But people have been concerned that if you lose Warner Brothers, where's it going to go? You want a poll, Chloe? All right, let's do the poll. You guys can vote. Start a poll. Who would you like to see get Warner Brothers? Now, there's only 2 options. Paramount. Oh, I guess I'll do a third. Netflix. And then I hope neither gets, well, no. Paramount would be approved now that Jared Kushner is involved. By the way, anyone who's watching can vote. You don't have to be a member to vote. And I see how many of you are here. Hello. We haven't even gotten to the Golden Globes yet. Okay. It's funny you say, Sean, vote for the lesser evil, but that didn't work in the political. I mean, he kept winning every time anyway. All right. So, 30 movies a year is what they're promising, which is not feasible. So as I said, the real issue here is the Fox News of movie studios. So let's talk about that, because that's what we're really dealing with here. And this conversation is even more fascinating. All right, so the liberal elite has long ruled Hollywood. The liberal elite has ruled Hollywood since the beginning of Hollywood, in fact. And it has really, Hollywood, and it's not just entertainment, but the news divisions as well, when they started purchasing news, with the exception of Fox News. But, CNN is owned by Warner Brothers. MSNBC, or whatever the heck it's called now, is owned by Comcast Universal. So, I think it's been a frustration for the conservative groups that they have no say in Hollywood. And they've been trying to get in there for a while now. And I gotta tell you, I think they might actually finally do it. So yes, so you have the liberal elite of Hollywood. It's a common complaint that you see. Now, Fox News was the first thing to do well, and very well. Fox News is the most watched news service here in the United States, by far. It's a lot of people it's a lot of senior citizens, to be honest, but still extremely successful, extremely influential, very powerful. So I think that showed that the business model works, right? Then Angel Studios came along with Sound of Freedom. To this day is their most successful release. That's the one where you could gift tickets to other people, and then the theaters were empty because people were buying tickets even though they weren't actually going because nobody accepted the gift. Um, and then everybody was like, is this a conspiracy theory? You know, again, you're like, wow, what a shock. It's crazy conspiracy theory town over here. But yeah, thanks, Get the Pun. That's funny. That's right. Oh, you're right, Brian. If Jared Kushner and Paramount get CNN, Trump would effectively own CNN. You have to laugh. I mean, hey, a winner's a winner, and you have to acknowledge, you're like, you won. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, like, it's like Hollywood's playing checkers. Like, Democrats are playing checkers, and I mean, the level to which the Republican and particularly MAGA's game has improved is like kind of shocking. It's like I think the Democrats and liberals are assuming they're still competing against the same persons that they were, back in the day. Although the Reagan Republican Party was very smart and savvy as well. But I think the worst mistake you can do is to underestimate your opponent. And the Democrats consistently underestimate their opponent. Okay. It is a fair fight. These are the rules, All right, so, and part of the rules is that you can bend the rules. All right, so Angel Studios was very successful, of course, with Sound of Freedom. And they've done okay, but I think they've proven there is some interest. But then, of course, ironically, Paramount Plus has really proven that there is a strong interest in conservative-leaning content with Yellowstone and now Landman. Now, of course, Taylor Sheridan just left Paramount for Universal, although he's still going to work with them on some other projects, so that's kind of crazy. But, Paramount started to lean to the conservative side even before David Ellison bought it. Now, I think it's interesting that in the Golden Globes, as we're going to discuss in the next segment, the Golden Globes snubbed a lot of conservative content. Now, that's not Hollywood. That's the Hollywood Foreign Correspondents Association. But, I think the Golden Globes has historically, been had their finger on the pulse of Hollywood. So, Hollywood is not going to just embrace conservative entertainment. It's going to be up to the audiences to decide. The market decides. The market decides. And the market is deciding. Because conservative entertainment has a huge audience. Recently, they just released the top podcasts. And it was funny because people were doing that SpongeBob and that Dungeon meme saying Amy Poehler. With all these other conservative podcasts around her. And it's the most successful podcast. Good for Amy Poehler, by the way, that her podcast is so successful. But yeah, huge audience, right? Now, of course, there's the hardcore MAGA, the hardcore conservatives. They are the foundation of these very successful conservative entertainment. However, and they're very vocal. Very, very vocal, very organized. Elon Musk let them back on Twitter, and they've taken full advantage of it. I don't know how many of them are bots from Russia and China, to be honest with you, but nobody knows. Okay, then moderates. I think that conservative entertainment is getting a couple of moderates, to be honest with you, because Hollywood went so far in the other direction. Hollywood went so liberal that I think that moderates are like, this is all very much the same. I want a little bit of variety in my entertainment. Go and watch other stuff, Like, I don't watch any of these other, I don't watch, like, wouldn't watch an Angel Studios movie. But I watch Landman. It's a great show. I love me some Billy Bob Thornton. And I'd probably watch these upcoming Taylor Sheridan movies that he's planning to make. So I do think that, and moderates are what decide elections, and they might be what decide the future of Hollywood. They're the ones, extreme liberals are always going to vote their direction, and extreme Republicans and MAGA are always going to vote their direction. So it's the moderates in between who shift, and they're the ones who kind of decide this. And, it's pretty split these days, right? But, who won the election? Trump won the election, right? So I think that that's something to consider. Now, is this a long time coming, right? Hard to tell, you know. I think, you know, a lot of people have said, you know, I do think that it's a pendulum effect. I do think Hollywood went a little bit too far in a certain direction. You know, we were also talking about Hollywood going too far in terms of their budgets being out of control. We just talked about Hollywood going too far in being polite and not reining people in and letting them do whatever they want, because it would be impolite to ask them to be maybe a little bit more prudent. So these are a lot of problems, right? So it's an issue. You're seeing it, you know, when people are deciding. People are like, people are finding the conservative content and they're going to it, and it's doing extremely well. So is Hollywood too far left, right? Like, they don't have to make conservative content necessarily, or super conservative content, but they could make more moderate content, let's say. Or not everything they do needs to be message heavy. You know, the message heaviness, the message first, has been a real issue for them. So that is a potential problem. And then I would say the social media perspective. For all of us who are in the social media space, YouTube, Twitter, in particular. Hey to your dad, Stephen. I would have to say that we all know that there are a lot of conservatives in the entertainment space. I see it every single day on the comments on my videos. I see a lot of hate channels weighing in on entertainment, often upset with what I said, and often misconstruing what I said. You know, I wish that conservative entertainment and coverage was more honest. Like, you could certainly present an alternative opinion and counterpoint, but the fact that they always have to warp what's being said is, I think, says a lot. You know, not to be honest, some liberal stuff does misconstrue points as well, to be honest, but not to the degree that conservative coverage does. I would say it's a very, it happens all the time with conservative coverage. It happens, I think, occasionally with liberal coverage when they seem to get a little bit desperate or a little bit too angry, right? But I think that all of us have known for a while that there are a lot of conservatives who are upset with and feel left out by Hollywood coverage. Okay. But is the answer an entire conservative studio, right? Like, here comes the pendulum effect, because every single studio refused to cater or acknowledge the existence of this huge audience, more than 50% of the country, because, well, you know, they had a bit of a blue wave, right? But I mean, like, with every 4 years, right? Like, the government can shift because of elections, but it's a lot harder to undo these business changes. Like, it's harder to undo you know, I guess the market decides, but, you know, this is going to have really big ramifications. But yeah, so an entire conservative double studio is like, it'd be a big change. Now, Top Gun Maverick. Would we get more movies like Top Gun Maverick, which was a Paramount film? Tom Cruise has worked with David Ellison for years. Although, of course, Tom Cruise is a Scientologist, which we forget when we feel like it, and then we remember when we get upset. Hey, Echelon Angel, thank you. We're like, yay, Tom Cruise, I don't remember anything about his personal life. And then we're like, oh, Tom Cruise is something bad. Isn't he a Scientologist? So it's very funny. But Top Gun Maverick, I think, is a good example of an old school movie that wasn't political and did extremely well. And one of the reasons that Top Gun Maverick did so well is that everyone liked it. Conservatives were like, finally, a movie we can get behind. And liberals were like, oh, this is so fun. You know, pew, pew, pew. You know, it was great. Everyone liked that movie. So if Paramount wanted to make more movies like that, or F1, that's a great example. Nobody would be upset about that. People would be like, okay, sure, let's have some balance. Not everything has to be message heavy or political. Let's just have some fun. But then the real issue is Rush Hour 4, where Donald Trump says, hey, my sex offender friend Brett Ratner would like to make a movie. I'm looking at you, Paramount. And Paramount said, yes, master, and approved it. So that's where you start to be like, whoa, like, it's one thing for you not to be so liberal, but it's in quite another for us to go all the way to the other side. And, you know, this isn't the old days of, you know, like, it's not just conservative versus democratic. You know, it's like some of the horrible things that are happening with ICE and things like that. the Venezuelan strikes with the boat attacks, you're like, it's not just like a matter of opinion, it's like, I, I don't think I can stand next to you, man. Bye bye. But how powerful will they become to the point where could you just avoid them? Right? I mean, like, you're really going to find out who's willing to take a stand. It's like, it's really tough. Okay. Now, would liberal audiences boycott? That is very interesting. Would it get to a point, where you couldn't get $1 billion picture out of Paramount? Some of you are joking about who they might bring back, but it was reported that David Ellison loves to bring back canceled people. If he'll work with Brett Ratner, he'll work with anybody. Because they said they're cheap and they're very motivated. So you could get a boycott, but the question is how effective would it be, and what would hopefully that Ellison would be like, I don't know. At the end of the day, Trump is an operator. Look at how he acted with Mamdani, right? At the end of the day, Trump is a business president, and you could see a huge swing when he leaves office and they decide, oh, we were liberal all along. And you're like, what? But I don't know if you can go back after some of the things that they did. You're like, those people are still dead, it's really tough. But yeah, so the question is, how many people might potentially boycott Paramount content? That's what we'd have to see, Now we're going to have a PR war where it's going to get especially nasty. Oh, get ready for it to just be really bad. So I think you're going to see a lot of companies, a lot of media, which is very liberal, obviously, go against Paramount. You've already seen it. I told you that they had they really dropped a huge article on them last week talking about the corporate culture over there, reminding everybody that the Wonder marketing guy, Josh Goldstein from Warner Brothers, was actually a predator, right? And making up quotes at the early days of his career. And you're like, oh, interesting. You would only remember this now that he's thrown in with the Ellisons. And yeah, it's biased, but I think you're going to have a lot of entertainment outlets like really digging through Paramount's dirty laundry. I don't really know if you want people digging through your dirty laundry if they might dig through yours. You don't, I think it goes both ways. Like, Hollywood has done a lot of really bad stuff, like a lot. And like, there was the Me Too movement, but they barely scratched the surface. So many people got away with stuff that Me Too never got to, Hollywood would just absolutely implode if everything came to light. I don't know what was done, but I heard a couple of whispers being like, I wonder if they're going to find out about this person, and I wonder if they're going to find out about this one. And I was like, I don't even want to know what you're talking about, man, But I just know that there is really a lot of dirt in Hollywood, and they let people get away with horrible things, like really, really bad, So I think, like, I don't know if this is a game that liberal Hollywood wants to play, because there are very strong conservative outlets, from Fox News to podcasts, that are, if they start attacking Paramount and trying to take Paramount down, they're going to go, the other side is going to be like, all right, let's do this. And you're going to be like, maybe we shouldn't do it. So again, Hollywood oh, that's right, P. Diddy, right? Everybody, there's no way that people were like, I just left that party and I had no idea what was going on in it, It's just like, it's crazy. You say scorched earth, but then you're like, dude, we just want to do business and put out content. Like, let's not ruin, although I feel really bad for all these people. So it's really a difficult situation, I don't know why everybody's so horrible. Like, I think that's like, at the end of the day, you're like, why is everybody so horrible and have no morals? Okay. So it's really tough. We're going to get to the Golden Globes in just a minute. We also still have to do the Q&A on this. But then I would also say that potentially this is already happening. Hollywood has been hit extremely hard. Thanks for saying I'm nice, Scorez. I've always felt that it would be hard for me to run a business because I would care too much about the people who worked for me. Back in the day, I'll just take this arrow off for a moment. Back in the day, Companies felt a responsibility for their employees and felt they were a family. When you retired, you got a gold watch and a going away party, and people would join a company and they would feel they would have loyalty to that company because they would feel that company would be with them for life. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I remember when the Kraft factory closed, there was a man who said, my father worked at the Kraft factory, I worked at the Kraft factory, and I assumed my son would work at the Kraft factory. And you're like, the Kraft factory didn't adopt you, man. Like, that's a lot of pressure to put on the Kraft factory. But at the same time, I think that was, I think again, it's the pendulum effect. Like, you don't adopt people, but you do have a responsibility for them. I feel very strongly about it, and I'd be like, are you guys happy? I would want my employees to have a union. I'd be like, you guys got to unionize. I can't ask all of you individually what you want. So you got to unionize and have your union rep come over here and tell me what's going on. But then unions got out of control, and that's why all these things, it's just, ugh. All right. All right. Yeah, Wall Street would not be happy with me. All right, so as I said, is this already happening? Conservative groups have been coming after Hollywood since the days. Where did Ron DeSantis go, by the way? We got rid of that guy. Woo, it can be done. That's funny. But yeah, Ron DeSantis versus Disney. That's where it all kind of started, and conservatives have been coming after Hollywood ever since. And I have to tell you, I think they've done real damage. And so I think that we're already kind of having this situation going on. Danielle says we've overcorrected. Show me a time in history when we didn't. The balance will come afterwards. Well, yeah, that's what they call the pendulum effect, for sure. And it's always supposed to settle in the middle. But it's taken a long time for this pendulum to settle in the middle. But let's just see what happens. All right, so this is the first section. Look at how many people are here. Hi, everybody. It's so lovely to have you in the stream. And we're going to do a little quick 5-minute Q&A on this before we get to the Golden Globes. Let me close the poll. All right. I shouldn't have given you a third option. All right. So yes, 45% of you say, I hope that neither one gets approved. 35% of you, that's interesting. 35% of you would rather movie theaters go out of business than Paramount get it. So 20% voted for Paramount. That's really interesting. That's fascinating. All right, so 5 minutes from now, let me do my timer so I don't forget. And then we'll go through the Golden Globes. Okay. What a day. It's so nice. It's been so boring in the entertainment business for like months. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to have this. I mean, I don't know. It's nice. I'm liking the conversation, but it's tough. What's happening? All right. Let's see here. Tammy says, Grace, could this drag itself out into a new administration? No. It seems like Trump has been president again forever, but it's been about just a year. It hasn't even been a year. We're going to be coming up on a year in January. So he's got 3 years left, and it won't take that long. By the way, unfortunately, while the Democrats are super slow, which we saw every time they had to get a Supreme Court justice through, the Republicans are very speedy, like they get stuff done, and they're like, rules, go right past them. While the Democrats are always like, I believe we have to vote. And you're like, the Republicans didn't. Why are you so stupid? And so they're going to, especially Jared Kushner being involved is a game changer. This should be solved, I think, so quickly, it'll make your head spin. The fact that Donald Trump would own CNN effectively, he's going to love it so much. It's going to just, the shareholders have to agree on it, but let's see what happens. The girls are fighting, Jeremy. Indeed. Iraq says America is racing to the bottom. Modern conservatives still unhappy after winning are unreasonable. They criticize messages in films, yet push a conservative message themselves. That's a good counterpoint. That's an interesting counterpoint. Yes, that's true, but we have to find a path forward, or it's just, as you said, forget a race to the bottom. It's mutual destruction. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Neither group is going anywhere. Let's see here. X-Men Superfan says, can Netflix do anything to counter or prevent Paramount? Yes, they're going to have to campaign to get the shareholders to vote no on the hostile takeover option. So they're going to have to, what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to compete. It's going to be like a presidential election, but it's going to be for who owns Warner Brothers. And now the shareholders will have to be the ones to decide. I wonder if conservatives will go in and buy a bunch of stock. They have every right to. It's a free market. I wouldn't be surprised if they were doing that on Friday. That'd be very smart. Again, outsmarted every single freaking time. If the Democrats and liberals were smart, they'd be buying up Warner Brothers stock so they could say no. Let's see here. Ahmed says, Grace, you're missing a key part. The Ellisons have ties to Israel and they're good friends. Yeah. Well, that's an important aspect to a number of people who are very much following the situation in the Middle East, but I don't know how much it influences. I mean, it might. People feel very strongly about that in both directions. So we'll see. I don't think that's as big a deciding factor, though. That's funny, Polly, that you mentioned Alien Earth, where the world was run by 5 corporations. We are, and by the way, they said 5, which is how many tech corporations there are, interestingly enough. Did I include Oracle in that? But yeah, it's really fascinating. It's scary, I mean, I didn't see a good life for civilians there, did you? Buck says, I'm just watching helplessly from Europe. Yeah, you guys are just stuck on this roller coaster, whether you like it or not. I mean, you could sue. Your governments could refuse to pass these deals. Let's see here. That's right, Gorilla. Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have retired. Although I don't know if the Democrats could have gotten the nominee through fast enough anyway, because they're such sticklers for rules. I'd be like, didn't you hear? Nobody's following rules anymore. Let's just vote for her. Done. Let's see here. I don't remember who was controlling the Congress at that point. So, I mean, even if Obama was president, it's the Congress that needs to approve. Raymond says, what would this mean for a Wonder Woman movie? I don't think they're going to greenlight anything that isn't already greenlit, which is going to put a big break. I was wondering if the Lanterns show had been delayed. They delayed Lanterns from right after the new year to, first quarter 2026 to third quarter 2026, which, what do you know, is when Netflix had hoped to take over Warner Brothers. So I think they were saving, okay, that's my 5-minute timer. I think they were saving Lanterns so it could be a Netflix show, but now that's not gonna, I mean, how long would they potentially delay Lanterns? They haven't even shown a trailer for it. They've only showed it to press, and I heard they weren't going to show it publicly. So that's a tough one. Netflix could revise their offer. Danielle, I hope that history doesn't keep replacing itself. Thank you, 1985. Let's see here. Do you think this could affect DCU next year? I think it's going to keep them from greenlighting anything new. Trump says he will personally intervene. Yeah, it's to go faster. Trump is about to acquire Warner Brothers. I told you, it'll move so fast, it'll make your head spin. Hey, Sora, thank you so much. And then Tune says, so if we as a consumer buy stock in Warner Brothers, yes, if you own Warner Brothers stock, you will be able to vote. All shareholders will be able to vote on this. Carrot says, hey, Grace, thanks for the spicy stream. Who would you prefer? I can't influence it. So I just, it doesn't matter, like they're both bad options. So I'm just holding on, like, I don't think, there's nothing, I really don't want movie theaters to go away. But I just, I just think they're really bad situations, I think they're both really, really a problem. So I don't own any Warner Brothers stock. So good luck, everybody. It's like, I don't know who I would vote for. I think a lot of people, there's a very good chance people could say, take the money and run. That's the kind of world we live in. I think that a shareholder might, I mean, it depends how much stock you own, you know? It's really tough. All right. And by the way, it's just like an actual political vote. You don't have to disclose who you vote for as a shareholder. It's a private, anonymous vote. So a lot of these things, I think, give the Ellisons the edge. Let's see what happens. Let's see. The Jared Kushner thing, I gotta tell you, both of these deals seem illegal to me, and I would probably, if I were a government official, I'd be like, doesn't matter, because I'm not gonna approve either one of them. But the fact that the Trumps are directly, I mean, that to me seems illegal. I don't even know what to say, because I'm watching someone break the law and nothing's happening. Okay, let's go to the Golden Globes. All right. Whew! All right, Golden Globes. So when I read the Golden Globes nominations this morning, this was my reaction. You are not serious people. I was like, you guys are ridiculous. Okay? I was like, these nominations are so stupid. This is nuts. Okay, so let's go through it. Okay. So Critics' Choice, I'm glad you guys agreed. Okay, so Critics' Choice, of course, we announced our nominations on Friday. Totally bowled over by the Netflix Warner Brothers news. Nobody even paid attention to the Critics' Choice nominations. It sucked. But we couldn't wait to release them because here come the Golden Globes this morning. But the Hollywood news cycle, when I tweeted that I was not sure what to cover today, I thought it was hilarious that someone was like, is this how it's going to be all award season? Where what's going on with the business stuff and Warner Brothers just totally overshadows the awards? And I'm like, probably, because I don't think there's anything that's particular. I don't see audiences excited about any of these movies, unfortunately. So yeah, the Hollywood news cycle, I think, is going to really steal focus. Thankfully, the Oscars are way out there. But yeah, I mean, I think like there's a huge train wreck over there on your left. Of course, everybody's going to look at that instead. Now, I do think it's ridiculous that the Smashing Machine got so many nominations. You're like, what? And then also, there's a Best Podcast category. I mean, it's just getting kind of ridiculous now. I mean, there should just be podcast awards. It's its own format. It should not be put in here. I mean, are we going to have next best social media account? I mean, I just think it's ridiculous. Okay? I mean, with all due respect to podcasts, they're becoming an incredibly popular form of entertainment, if not already. But it is ridiculous. That's right. Best retweet, Dane. And best retweet goes to, I think I might have a real chance there, maybe. So stupid. All right. I also think as I was going through these to decide, because we're going to play who should win, who will win, I think there's major category fraud. Like, category fraud this year is rampant. Like, I can't believe how bad it is. Like, you look at these categories and you go, you honestly have to keep checking what category you're looking at. You're like, is this comedy? You know? And then you're like, is this drama? Or then when you look at drama, you're like, I think you're missing some. They're like, no, those are over in comedy. And you're like, that's ridiculous. You know? So it's just silly. And then, as I said, I feel they have a real issue with ratings. I feel there's nothing here to get people particularly excited this year. You know, Nikki Glazer is rehosting. She's coming back. And Conan O'Brien is returning to host. Those are actually two pretty good hosts. I think they're going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting to get people interested. But, you know, I think they have a real problem this year in terms of getting people into this. Now let's go through some stats before we get to the snubs and surprises. Okay, so most nominated. One Battle After Another has the most nominations of any film at 9. Then Sentimental Value, Norway's film. This is the Hollywood Foreign Correspondents Association. They're not critics, they're correspondents. And they've nominated a lot of global films, which makes a lot of sense. Wait till you see them, some of the best picture categories. Sinners, so happy to see Sinners. By the way, I got to tell you, Warner Brothers worked super hard this award season. They campaigned like crazy. They were calling me all the time. Very nice, very polite, but also I think very effective. And they have two amazing movies. And so you have One Battle After Another and Sinners are both. And Sinners was out in the summer. So the fact that it was remembered, I think, is really wonderful. Hamnet, still somehow going on. Yeah, they call me. They say, who are you thinking of voting for? I'm always like brutally honest with them. Sometimes I'm like, I'm sorry, but not your thing. I'm voted for all of these movies, but sometimes they would want me to vote for certain people over others. And I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm going to vote for this person instead. Stuff like that. They were like, Benicio over Sean. And I was like, yeah, stuff like that. All right. They call everybody. They really, especially, Critics' Choice, and I'm sure the Hollywood Foreign Correspondents Association, we're small organizations. So you can call. Okay. Frankenstein from Netflix got 5 nominations. And then Wicked for Good, 5. Not so great, not such a great day for Wicked for Good, which we're going to talk about. Then as for streaming and television, The White Lotus is number 1 with 6 nominations. Adolescence behind it at 5. TV is a mess, by the way. A mess. And then also Only Murders in the Building and Severance both got 4 apiece. So that's awesome. That's really nice to see. So that's good. But now let's go through the snubs and the surprises, which is always, of course, a lot of fun. So here's my arrow. Wait. This one's got to go away. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with the snubs and then the surprises. Wait a minute. Darn it, I made this too small. Give me a minute. I left out the surprises. I was rushed and I didn't grab the full thing. I thought it looked tiny. One moment, please. I hope it'll do it while it's live. Will it? Did it? Yes! Oh, thank you, technology. Okay. All right. Snubs and surprises. We're starting with the snubs. All right. It's so nice to see so many people on the live stream. Thank you so much for joining me for this. Okay. All right. All right. Oh, darn it. Come on. Here we go. So, snubs. Wicked for Good was not nominated for Best Musical or Comedy. That was pretty big. That's, I gotta tell you, I thought the second film, as I told you, not as good as the first, but to be left out, I think is absolutely shocking. Nobody thought it was going to win, but to not even get nominated, and John Chu, by the way, was also not nominated for director for Wicked. So that's like, pretty surprising. I think that just goes along with the box office that we talked about yesterday on Movie Math not doing as well. The second film is crumbling fast. And I do think that's going to hurt Ariana's chances, I'm afraid. I'm nervous about Ariana for Best Supporting. She has not won any of the awards that have gone so far from critics associations. She has not won. So I think there's now a chance she might not win. The Last of Us Season 2, totally ignored, although I don't think anybody's surprised. Then, let's see here. Avatar, only nominated for Box Office Achievement, even though it hasn't come out yet. So you're like, hedging your bets there. I think Avatar is either going to do really well or do very poorly. I didn't see Bella Ramsey. Was she nominated? Maybe. I wasn't looking. I was going through it quickly. Maybe I missed Bella Ramsey. I don't think that I saw her. But I guess since you guys saying that she did, she did. Okay. Jake Kelly and House of Dynamite are both Netflix movies. And neither one of them, Jake Kelly got some acting nominations. House of Dynamite totally snubbed. But, House of Dynamite didn't have an ending. So I'm not surprised about that. Jake Kelly is a fine film, but I wouldn't have nominated it for Best Picture either. Wake Up Dead Man, though, was snubbed for screenplay. However, the Golden Globes doesn't split their screenplay into adapted and original. It's just one category. So that's, I think, a little bit of an issue. So why is Superman there and not a Marvel movie? Well, I saw some people surprised that Superman wasn't nominated for Best Box Office Achievement, especially since it was the highest grossing comic book grossing movie of the year. So why wouldn't it get a spot in Box Office Achievement? I think that's a valid question, to be honest with you. It was the highest grossing comic book movie of the year, and it did, I think, very well domestically. So, I mean, when there are other movies in there, I think that it's fair that Superman maybe should have been there. Then as for Andor got one nomination for Diego Luna, and there's no TV writing nomination, but I'm pretty surprised that it didn't get a Best Dramatic Series nomination, because I think it was so amazing, and it had such amazing things to say about rebellion, and especially with what's going on in the world today. Again, I don't know if it necessarily should have won, but I'm surprised that it didn't get nominated. Then The Pits, Catherine LaNasa, she won the freaking Emmy. But because there is no divide on supporting in drama or comedy, is there at the Emmys? But anyway, it's a real mess in the supporting categories, and LaNasa was totally left off. Then The Gilded Age. No love for The Gilded Age, but again, there's so much good television on these days. It is pretty fantastic. There's too much good TV to go around. And a couple other shows came in at the last minute. So The Gilded Age, you know what the win is for The Gilded Age? People are finally watching it. Then Sydney Sweeney. I was talking to an industry friend of mine this morning, and I was like, Sydney Sweeney was snubbed for being a conservative. And my industry friend was like, no, she wasn't. It was a bad movie. She's not a serious actress. Give me a break. But I think the problem is that she campaigned for it so heavily. And because she gets clicks, she was used for a lot of campaigning coverage, right? Like whenever they had a campaign event, they stuck Sydney Sweeney right in the front. So people really were focused on her. I do think she's been hurt by her correlation with the conservative movement, and I'm curious to see how, Christie was a horrible flop, but I think a real test will be this upcoming The Housemaid movie. Although her co-star, Amanda Seyfried, is in fact nominated in 2 categories. Then Landman. Critics' Choice, we nominated Billy Bob. I'm surprised that Landman, being such an incredibly successful show, didn't get any nominations. It's a very, very successful show, and I think it's an incredibly good show. It's like Succession for conservatives, or moderates. I really like Landman. Some people have, and also, by the way, some people haven't loved season 2. I love the female characters on Landman. Ali Larder and Michelle Randolph. No relation. Michelle Randolph, by the way, dating Glenn Powell. But I think I don't think they're atrocious at all. I think they're so sweet. I think they're really kind. I think they make, it frustrates me that the men in their lives complain about them all the time, because I think that they do a lot to make their lives much better. And they just don't acknowledge it. I don't know. I always kind of like, you could be a little nicer to these women. Landman is considered a conservative show. It's really, I'd say, more of a moderate show, but it's considered somewhat conservative. Then, I understand why Ben Shapiro wasn't nominated, right? But, I mean, there was some magazine that spotlighted him. It was either like Vanity Fair or Hollywood Reporter. Somebody spotlighted him in terms of podcasters, and a lot of people were pretty shocked that he would be included. But he was snubbed for a podcast. But he's so political and so incendiary. I can see that. Now, Joe Rogan, he's so stupid. It's hard to, he doesn't seem as malicious as Ben Shapiro for some reason. And also, he's the most successful podcast in the world. I don't understand how you could have a podcast award and not even nominate him. Like Dax Shepard's podcast is nominated and not Joe Rogan's. I mean, again, as I said, you are not serious people. I mean, if you don't want to nominate Joe Rogan, don't have a podcast category. I mean, conservative podcasts are so incredibly successful, you have to acknowledge them. So it becomes a stupid category. That's right. Why weren't Trixie and Katya nominated? Katya. That's true. They should have been nominated. They mention me sometimes, so I love them. Okay. Now let's talk about the surprises. Okay, so, and again, thank you so many people for joining today's live stream. All right, and if you want to subscribe and hit that like button, I would appreciate it. I'd appreciate it. Even if you can't be a member, that support would mean a lot, and it would improve your chances of getting a gifted membership down the line. Amy Poehler was nominated. Well, don't worry, we shall discuss the podcast category. Alrighty, so the surprises. Blue Moon. I watched Blue Moon. A lot of people in the industry have been talking about Blue Moon. And I'm surprised. There was like a really quiet lot of campaigning for this. You know, a lot of my industry friends were like, I'm telling you, Blue Moon, man. And I watched it. It's an extremely small film. I think it's the best part of it is the screenplay, but it has a lot of really, really interesting things to say. It's about the real life writing partner of Richard Rogers, who was gay. And, you know, he had a very tragic life, but a very successful one. It's really, I would actually very strongly recommend that you watch it. I do think that it might actually win. And in fact, I think Ethan Hawke just recently took home a win for Best Actor on one of the first Critics Association Awards that just went out. So very strong chance. I don't remember what studio did Blue Moon. It might be Sony. It might be Sony Pictures Classics. Yeah, that's right. Andrew Scott is Richard Rogers, who's LGBTQ in real life, but Richard Rogers it was not. But it's very good. I told you he's basically doing Maya Hawke from Inside Out too, but he's very good at it. He's a huge threat for Timothée Chalamet. I think there's a real chance the Blue Moon could win Best Actor. Then, speaking of surprises, I think Rose Byrne could win Best Actress. Now, this movie, I have not yet watched it. I got to check it out now as a voter myself. But I love Rose Byrne. I love her. I'm surprised that this is the movie she's going to win for. But I mean, look, I would back a Rose Byrne win because I think she's severely underrated as an actress. But this is very surprising. I did not hear whispers about this. I heard whispers about Blue Moon, but I didn't hear whispers about Rose Byrne. So this is shocking. This could be, Ethan Hawke and Rose Byrne could very much be your best actor winners this year. I think there's an extremely strong chance. Then No Other Choice, which is shockingly somehow a comedy from South Korea, got a lot of nominations. And this was something else I heard from my same industry friend who was talking to me about Blue Moon, was like, I got to tell you, Grace, I'm really interested. My industry friend and I, what we do is we compare screeners. So we're like, what do you have? What do you have? You know, it's like trading cards. And also because I'm Critics' Choice, I get screeners before everybody else because we're first up to vote. So my friend doesn't get them for a little while. So they were like, do you have Blue Moon? And, you know, you have to keep them to yourself. So you're like, damn it, I want mine. But, yeah, you know, this was what I was being asked about. I was being asked about Blue Moon, and I was being asked about No Other Choice. So, yeah, I think No Other Choice is a surprisingly strong contender. Pay attention to this movie. Then Jacob Elordi. Double noms, baby. Pew, pew, pew. This is incredible. He has been nominated not only for Frankenstein, but apparently he did some limited series I never heard of and was nominated for that as well. So his star is on the rise. And I got to tell you, after seeing Frankenstein, I'm now on the Jacob Elordi train. Choo choo, toot toot. I think he's really talented. A lot of you, I used to think he was a joke, but then I finally saw him act and I'm like, he's really good. That's right, Amanda Seyfried did get a lot of nominations, although I always just associate her with the projects she didn't get because she keeps talking about them. I'm like, oh yeah, you're not Glinda. You're not Gamora. When next G role she gets nominated, she should say yes. All right, then I was so pleased to see All Her Fault from Peacock get a lot of nominations. I loved this. Can't recommend it strongly enough. It's a mini-series. It's ready to binge. It's very, very bingeable. It's a crime that, it has a lot of strong male characters as well. Yeah, Senior Lullaby knows what I'm talking about. It's so good. Malik watched it. It's really, really good. Oh, you're watching it weekly in Canada? Oh, it has such a shocking ending too. Nobody ruined the ending. I never even saw the ending coming, and I was like, damn, that's good. So All Her Fault is incredible. Really strongly recommend. But I also really am enjoying Pluribus. You know, I never reviewed Pluribus. They didn't send this out to the screeners to us. You had to ask for them, and I forgot to ask. It really wasn't on my radar. But I am watching it. I might do a spoiler review when the season wraps, and I think it's really strong. But I think what's the most exciting about it is that Rhea Seehorn was infamously snubbed every single year for Better Call Saul, where she was the female lead. And now she got finally nominated for Pluribus, where she does a wonderful job. So, and Apple TV, yet again, Apple TV coming in with the win. Oh, thank you. It's pronounced Ray. Thank you very much. So she's wonderful on that show. It's a great show. You should be watching All Her Fault and Pluribus for sure. All right, it's time to play everyone's favorite game, Golden Globes edition. Who should win and who will win? A little faster than usual because we're already at an hour and 11 minutes. That's right. This is a long stream, baby. I appreciate all of you sitting down and spending this time with me. All right, so let's start out with the ridiculous nominations. Okay, so the Golden Globes, as you can see, are January 11th. Critics' Choice is first, but Sunday, January 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, I will live tweet and then do a live reaction afterwards, as always, and they will air on CBS and Paramount Plus. Oh, David Ellison says thank you for watching the Golden Globes. I wonder if he'll be there. Oh, I bet he will be there. Ah, interesting. The rise of the red carpet CEO. I mean, they're usually on the red carpet, but people don't usually pay that much attention to them. They're going to pay attention to them for sure. All right, so who should win? I will say that I think, with all due respect to K-pop Demon Hunters, I think it's ridiculous that it's on this list because it barely played in theaters and Netflix is actively trying to destroy theaters. So, no. Also, Avatar Fire and Ash hasn't even come out yet. So I think that's a little ridiculous as well. And also, I don't think it's a slam dunk for Avatar, by the way. I've seen Avatar. Social media embargo has lifted, so I can talk about it a tiny bit. I can't review it until the 16th. But I will say that I think that Avatar Fire and Ash is either going to be a huge hit or a huge flop. I'm very curious to see. I'm not sure which way the audience is going to go. It's so cute that some of you call it Zootropolis based on where you see the movie, because in some countries it's called Zootropolis. So as for who should win, I'm going to go for either Zootopia 2, because its box office in Asia is just something incredible to see. Or I would consider both Weapons or Sinners, because I think they were such a celebration of seeing cinema on a big screen. IMAX and 70 millimeter were huge for these two films. And also Weapons was an incredible cinematic experience. So yeah, so for should win, I would go with Sinners, Weapons, or Zootopia. That's who I would be happy with. Now, who will win? I think it might be Zootopia. Because, you know, it's Disney. I don't think Zootopia is going to win Best Animated Feature. And it might be Sinners. I could see Sinners winning. But Zootopia 2 is making so much money. And that's never happened in the animation space before. It's historic. You're witnessing historic box office for animation. And I believe, you know, forget the politics of it all. I believe that deserves to be recognized. Okay. Thanks, Azur. Okay, so let's next category. All right, then, best podcast. What? Ew. Get this out of my movies and TV show. I mean, podcasts are great and they're extremely successful, but they should not be here. All right, so as for who should win, I don't know. I mean, Smartless is the only one I'm familiar with. Smartless did a HBO Max show where they took their show on the road, and I really enjoyed it. I really like those guys. But I think it should be Smartless or Amy Poehler. Call Her Daddy's a little raunchy. So I would go with Amy Poehler or Smartless, to be honest with you. Is it Mel Robbins like some guru? As for who will win, I could see Call Her Daddy winning. Especially because of Nikki Glaser hosting, and the host of Call Her Daddy is very similar to that. But also I could see Amy Poehler has, of course, hosted the Golden Globes itself. And so I can see her potentially walking away with this as well. I think probably it's between these two for who will win. I think Smartless had its moment. I don't think Smartless is quite as popular as it was when it started out. And then also there is stand-up comedy. I just can't believe they're taking up time during the telecast for this. Who should win? I haven't watched any of these. I don't know. Whoever. Doesn't matter. Whatever. Just give it out and let's get to the next section. Okay, that's how people are going to feel when they're giving that out. Okay, so let's get to the real categories. Film. Movies. For how long? How long until it's just one giant category? Okay, very sad. All right, so this is Best Picture Drama. All right, in the interest of time, I'm not going to read everything out. You can see it. I'm just going to do who should and who will. I do think that One Battle After Another, by the way, should be in this category. I think it's nuts that One Battle After Another is in comedy, and I also think that Marty Supreme is not a comedy. But whatever. But I do think it now suddenly makes this category wide open. As for who should win, yes, I agree. It should be Sinners. But I will tell you that I think the will win will be A Sentimental Value. Just because Sentimental Value has so many, it has one more nomination. I think Sinners will get some stuff, but this is the Hollywood Foreign Correspondents Association. And so they're going to really, I mean, look at this. You have 3 international films in this category. It Was Just an Accident, The Secret Agent, and Sentimental Value are all international movies. So they're going to, I think they're, if who is going to give it that's right, Brazil represent with The Secret Agent, but who is going to give to a foreign film, if not the Golden Globes? So that's what I think. All right, next, Best Actor in a Dramatic Film. How the heck did Dwayne Johnson get in here, man? And how did Jeremy Allen White get in here? I mean, this is just nuts. I haven't seen Train Dreams. It's gotten a lot of attention. I mean, I have no problem with that. I'm like, you can come in here, Joel. But I really do feel that Dwayne Johnson and Jeremy Allen White are nuts. As for who should win, I haven't seen The Secret Agent yet, to be honest with you. I think I'd like to see Michael B. Jordan win, because I don't think Sinners is going to win Best Picture. But as for who will win, I think it's going to be Wagner Moura, who's already started to take home some awards. So I think that's what it's going to be. I think should win Michael B. Jordan, will win Wagner Moura. So that's what I think is going to happen here. All right. Next category. We're moving here, boy. All right. Best Female Actress in a Drama. Okay. So Eva Victor is the big surprise. She's not only the they are the big surprise. This they, them. They not only star in this film, but they wrote and directed it, I believe. It's a very big surprise that they were nominated. Jennifer Lawrence is also a really big surprise. You thought the Golden Globes would have moved past this, where they just get people to come to the show to have a star-studded audience. And that's right, Julia Roberts being in here is also kind of nuts. And so is Tessa Thompson for Hedda. I mean, the drama section is weak because so many dramas are committing category fraud. You know, it's funny. They committed category fraud probably to have an edge in the other category like The Bear does. I bet you there are a lot of jokes about category fraud. The Bear, of course, is infamous for this. But all these dramas went into the comedy category, and now it's too competitive over in comedy. And there's nobody left for drama. As for who should win, I don't care who wins in this category. As for who will win, maybe Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. They're going to want Hamnet to walk away with something, although people really love Sentimental Value. Although can the Golden Globes give away most of their awards to overseas films? They could if they wanted to. That would be fascinating if this ended up being a very international affair. Alrighty. Then next up, Best Picture Comedy. This category's nuts. So there's Blue Moon, Begonia, Marty Supreme, No Other Choice, Nouvelle Vague, which is also a Richard Linklater movie. Richard Linklater has 2 movies in this category, Blue Moon and Nouvelle Vague, which is, behind the scenes idea of, what's that very famous French 1960s film? I forget the name of it. It's like very famous for cinephiles. And so that's what Nouvelle Vague is. And then One Battle After Another, which is ridiculous. I mean, I told you this is, Breathless, thank you. This is a ridiculous category. Again, several times when I was looking at this, I was like, what category is this again? Although Blue Moon is definitely a comedy. As for who should win, I think One Battle After Another. This is a very difficult category, though. I would be happy with Marty Supreme or Blue Moon, to be honest with you. I'm kind of feeling the Blue Moon momentum. Blue Moon might be peaking at just the right time, where you're like, yeah, why not? Blue Moon is a very cozy film. It's very romantic for old school Hollywood. It's really very, very, it's also very sad. But it's lovely talking to Ethan Hawke's character for like an hour and a half. And that's true. Blue Moon is the only movie here that didn't commit category fraud. So maybe it should win for just that. As for who will win, I do think it will be One Battle After Another. That's been winning everything. I think there's a very good chance that One Battle After Another will win. Although Blue Moon has a lot of momentum. Don't be surprised if Blue Moon wins. I'm telling you, get on the Blue Moon train. This train is leaving the station. That's right, Rodney. Nobody wants to see a slam dunk for One Battle After Another. We'd like a little bit of a competition, thank you very much. All right, then, Best Actor in a Comedy. There's Timothy Chalamet, DiCaprio, Ethan Hawke, as you can see, and Lee Byung-hun from Squid Game is in No Other Choice, and he got nominated, which I think is really nice. And Jesse Plemons, he's not going to win, but I do like seeing Jesse Plemons getting more attention. All right, as for who should win, I got to journey up. I kind of like Ethan Hawke. I thought he's very good in the movie. I can see him winning, but I also really like Timothy Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet is being so goofy and being so like, let's call it, what was that group? I'm blanking on the name. Beastie Boys. Timothy Chalamet is like the second coming of the Beastie Boys for some reason. And I think that it's hurting his awards chances. People are just kind of like, what are you doing, buddy? So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to hurt him. But I really, I have to say, as silly as he might be, when you watch Marty Supreme, you're reminded of what an incredible actor he is. But then also Ethan Hawke will break your heart in Blue Moon. I haven't seen No Other Choice, so it's hard for me to say on that. As for who will win, to be honest with you, I think it is between also Ethan Hawke and Timothy Chalamet. Leonardo DiCaprio was very good, but he doesn't have the heart, and it's not as big a role as Ethan Hawke and Timothy Chalamet. Okay. Actress in a musical or comedy. Woo! Cynthia Erivo, not snubbed. She at least got the nomination. Amanda Seyfried is a real surprise to see here. And thankfully, Chase Infinity did get nominated as well. That's very important for her career going forward. Not going to win, I don't think. And then Kate Hudson. She had some buzz. It seemed like maybe it had gone away. But no. Apparently, this is a very dramatic movie for her. I have the screener. I have not been able to get myself to watch it. I'm going to have to watch it. Okay. And I have to vote before the holidays are over. So I got to get on this stuff. Okay, most people will watch these movies in January and February. Okay. As for who should win, I want to go for Rose Byrne. I have not yet seen this movie, but out of this, that excites me the most. I'm a big Rose Byrne fan. Again, I don't think she ever gets enough recognition for how good she is. I've really come around on her husband as well, Bobby Cannavale. At first I thought Bobby Cannavale was overexposed, and I would always be like, this guy again. But I've come to love him. He's also, by the way, in Blue Moon and Only Murders in the Building. So I love them as a couple. And they're both going to be at the Golden Globes, which is very exciting. And I have to say, also, I love Rose Byrne on Platonic with Seth Rogen on Apple TV. There's 2 seasons of that, and it's amazing. I think she will win. I think this is Rose Byrne's. I think she's going to win, and I think that's going to be incredible for her career. And I'm very happy for her. Okay. Then, next, we've got supporting, which is in any movie. They don't divide it for supporting. So, any movie. So you can see that both Sean Penn and Benicio did get nominated. There's Jacob Elordi, Paul Mescal for Hamnet, Adam Sandler. Wow, Adam Sandler gets to go to the ball. Good for him. I'm very happy for him. I really felt that he should have been nominated for Uncut Gems back in the day. He was very bitter about that. So I'm really glad that he got nominated. I'm very happy for him. And then Stellan Skarsgård, of course, for Sentimental Value. Now, as for who I think should win, I think it should be Benicio del Toro. Talk about breaking your heart. He just was so lovable in One Battle After Another. But I'd also be happy with Sean Penn. I feel it should go between the One Battle After Another actors. As for who will win, I think it'll either be those two or don't underestimate Stellan Skarsgård for the career win. Stellan Skarsgård doesn't really have any awards. And also he had a stroke and he's impaired as an actor, and his health therefore is not great. And he's talked about that. And I think, he has created a Hollywood family with his children. And I think that it's really time for him to get some wins. So I think that he's going to win. I think he's going to win not only for the performance, but it's going to be one of those career wins where people are like, this is it. This is the last chance to give him some acknowledgement. So I think don't underestimate Stellan Skarsgård. Okay. I mean, he has very serious memory issues. His lines have to be fed to him, like what was happening to Bruce Willis for a while, until Bruce Willis, of course, unfortunately progressed to the point where he can't act either at all. Okay. Okay, now, Best Supporting Actress. Emily Blunt. I love Emily Blunt, but it's ridiculous that she was nominated for this. Sentimental Value has 2 nominations. Tiana Taylor. This is so great for Tiana Taylor's career. I appreciated her performance more after I saw the movie a second time. It's very subtle. It's really beautiful. Now, as for who should win, yes, I agree. Ariana Grande should win. I'm starting to tell you, I thought it was a slam dunk, but the movie's crumbling before our eyes. And I have to agree with Mystic. I think Amy Madigan is going to win. Amy Madigan has already started to win in this category. She's been winning. There is not only a precedent of her being nominated, but there's a precedent of her winning. And I think she's going to get it. So I feel very bad for Ariana. Luckily, Ariana's career is just getting started, and I'm sure she'll be nominated again. But I think that Ariana Grande carried the Wicked films, and I think that her comedic performance I don't think she gets enough credit for the nuance and what she was able to deliver. But again, it's a career win. Amy Madigan is an older actress. She's a working actor. She's a character actress. Hollywood always loves rewarding that. Again, Ariana Grande's big win was she got nominated and she got to be a megastar. And so she'll probably win down the line, I'm sorry to say. All right, so Best Director. All right, so this is interesting. You have 2 foreign language film directors here. Chloe Zhao representing for the ladies, even though I think she's not a good director. Should win I'd like to see Ryan Coogler get it, but sorry, career win, Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson has been making movies for a long time, has never won. I'm very sorry. I think Sinners needs to get something away, and it will. I think it's going to get screenplay, to be honest with you. But Paul Thomas Anderson, it's just his time. He's made a lot of movies. He's never won. And Ryan Coogler has a lot of movies ahead of him. So it's going to be Paul Thomas Anderson. Okay. I told you, Hollywood's very polite. Okay. Okay. Now, best screenplay. There's only one of these. They don't do adapted or original. I think that this is where Ryan Coogler will win. And I think this is where he should win. You got to give Sinners something. So it's unfortunate, I think that this isn't usually this is what happens with horror films, Jordan Peele won for this. I think Sinners is a bigger movie than this, but I can't walk away with nothing. So I think this is the best chance that it has. So it's gotta win this. It has to win this, because then there's a chance it could walk away with nothing, and that would be really bad. Marty Supreme is extremely well written, but Marty Supreme I wonder if that'll walk away with nothing. We'll see what happens. I have to say, you guys talk a lot about, the Jewish connection and the Israeli connection with Hollywood. And Marty Supreme very much was representative of the Jewish community. So that's, it really is the black community and the Jewish community in these two films. So I think people will read a lot into that, depending on which way the votes go. We'll see what they decide to do. I hadn't thought about that in the discussion. We'll see. People are watching that very closely these days. Okay. It would be horrible if Sinners only got box office. Sinners is an artistic film. Sinners should not only get box office. It should not have that situation. Maybe Wicked will get box office as a consolation prize, but its box office is weak. It's not even doing as well as the first film. So we'll see what they decide to do. Okay. All right, best animated motion picture. K-pop Demon Hunters, it seemed like it was going to win. But when BAFTA, I think it was a big deal when BAFTA said it didn't qualify. And I think now that Netflix is threatening to kill the theatrical experience in total, I think the win might be that it was nominated. I think there's a chance K-pop Demon Hunters might not win. Demon Slayer. Yeah, Demon Slayer got nominated. That's amazing. Arco has been winning. Now, what would I vote for? I haven't seen some of these. I really liked Elio. I'm not surprised that Elio was nominated. I thought that was a great movie. Although when you think about what was stripped out of it, that's not a great look. I guess I'll go with Demon Slayer. I thought, Demon Slayer really is a momentous film in terms of bringing anime to North America. So that's, and I mean, Zootopia 2, I've been impressed with how it did, but I think it's a weaker film than the first one. Then as for who will win, I think Arco will win. Arco is already starting to win a couple of categories, and I think that it's going to win. All right. Then the next category is Best Non-English Language Motion Picture. A very competitive category this year. It Was Just an Accident, No Other Choice, The Secret Agent, and Sentimental Value are all nominated in multiple other categories. I think that I don't have to watch a lot of these movies yet, so I don't have a horse in this race yet. I think as for who will win, I think it'll be Sentimental Value, strictly because it has the most nominations. It's one of the most nominated films, period. So I think it will be Sentimental Value. But it's these four are the ones that it's truly between. All right, just a couple more in movies. Then we have Best Score. Best Score. Who should win? Hands down, Hans Zimmer. I love that F1 score. I listen to it all the time. I think it was a huge part of the movie. I think it was transformative of the film. I just thought it was incredible. And I think it should win. I strongly think it should win. It was just a beautiful, beautiful piece of work. As for who will win, I think it'll be Ludwig Göransson for Sinners. This better not be its only win. But, again, you can't only have white people win for Sinners, Hollywood. You can't only have white people win for Can't. You can't do it. I'm worried about it because the casting director for Sinners is also white. So I'm nervous about it. But Ludwig Göransson always wins. He's extremely competitive in this category. So I think there's a very, very strong chance that he will win. All right, then. Best Song. All right, now I had thought, again, that K-pop Demon Hunters would be a slam dunk here. But oh, how the narrative is changing. I think that it wasn't really in theaters, and I think that the fear of what Netflix is going to do is really going to be a problem. So I've changed my allegiance, and I would actually say that The Girl in the Bubble should win. This might be the consolation prize for Wicked, just like Barbie only won Best Song when it was competing. I think there's a chance that maybe only The Girl in the Bubble wins. It's a beautiful song. I think it's a new song. It's very evocative. I do think that I Lied to You from Sinners is an incredible song, and maybe that will win. I think there's a very good chance that that will win, and maybe that'll be its consolation prize, which again, I told you I was so scared that Sinners was going to get the Barbie treatment, and I'm really worried that that might be what happens. But I Lied to You is obviously the heart of the movie, and it's so inventive the way that it's done, so I think that that might win, or it could be The Girl in the Bubble. I think it's between I Lied to You or The Girl in the Bubble. All right, so those are the film categories. Now we'll take a look at TV, and then you can ask me some questions. Okay, I'm so glad that all of you decided to stick around for this part of the live stream as well. It's so nice to have you here. Hello, I see all of you. Hello. All right. Best Drama Series. Thankfully, they don't have a ridiculous number of nominees. I don't know who I would have taken out of here to put Andor in, to be honest with you. I think the problem is that Pluribus came out of nowhere at the last minute. So as for who should win, this is hard. I'd actually go between, I think the Pit or Pluribus. Pluribus is so unique. I wouldn't be surprised if Pluribus comes out of nowhere. But to me, it's between these two. Severance was a little too far away. Slow Horses is a workhorse. It comes out every year. It's great, but I don't, maybe for its final season. As for who will win, I think it's also between Pluribus and the Pit. I think the Pit will probably win, to be honest with you. That's an incredible show. I love the Pit. But Pluribus came out of nowhere at the last minute. I think it's a very strong chance that Pluribus might win. Very strong. So I think it's between these two. Pluribus is a very, very hot show. You should start watching Pluribus if you haven't already. All right, then, Best Actor in a Drama Series. Sterling K. Brown, love that guy. Diego Luna, so happy they got recognized. Gary Oldman, Mark Ruffalo, love to see it. But it's between Adam Scott and Noah Wyle. And I gotta say, as beautiful as Adam Scott's performance was, where he talked to himself, he played two different characters in that video camera sequence. But the emotional torture that Noah Wyle has to go through is just something to see. And I'm sorry to say that Noah Wyle, I think, should and will win. He's going to walk away with it. I'm sorry to say. It's unfair that there can only be one, but that's just the way it is. Noah Wyle has also been the heart of that show, on and off camera. So I'm sorry to say. I'd be thrilled with either one of them, but that's what I think is going to happen. Okay. Then, Best Actress in a Television Drama. Boy, they sure love Kathy Bates on that Matlock show. You can't get me to watch network TV, but she must be really good in it. And you're right. There's Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us. That's good. That's good for them. I don't think she was very good on the show. A little too much giggling for the apocalypse for me, so I wouldn't vote for her. But I think it's nice that they remember her, them. And I think it's crazy that Helen Mirren's in here. I'm like, what? And I'm happy for Kerry Russell. The Diplomat is an amazing show. I love The Diplomat. It's another show I can't recommend enough. As for who should win, I gotta tell you, I think it should be Britt Lauer for Severance. Severance has to walk away with something. Poor Tremel Tillman, it's certainly not going to win in supporting. It could. But I mean, come on. The fact that people could guess that it wasn't the real Helly, all just from her acting, that's incredible. I think she should get it. But I got to tell you who I think will win. Ray Seahorn is going to win because Pluribus is the hot new show. How horrible for poor Severance. It just is too far ago. And recency bias is a real thing. And also, I think everyone's going to feel bad that they snubbed Ray Seahorn for so long on Better Call Saul. Maybe they can get Bob Odenkirk on there for more Pluribus. Maybe he'll show up. You never know. They're having a lot of fun cameos on that show. Don't ruin any of the cameos on Pluribus. They're so fun. And none of them have been spoiled for me, and so I enjoy them. I try and watch Pluribus as soon as it drops, though, to be fair. It drops every Friday. Very, very good show. After the first episode, you're like, where the heck are they going to take this? The creativity on this show is incredible. All right. Then, Best Musical or Comedy Series. This is I'm going to get the bear out of here, man. The third season was awful. It's category fraud. I can't believe that this is continuing to happen. Now, of course, Hacks and Abbott Elementary have been industry darlings for a long time. So they're going to continue. They're definitely going to continue, but they've also already won a lot of awards. So they're going to keep getting it. Nobody wants this. It's fine, but I think just like with the Emmys that just happened, just the fact that it's even in there is the win. Now, I really think it's between Only Murders in the Building and The Studio. I think it should be The Studio, but I think there's a chance it could go either way because they both have, Only Murders in the Building actually has more nominations. And that is right. They just came off their weakest season for sure, Silver Scale. But how interesting that they have the most nominations. But I think it's between these two. I loved the studio. I loved it, but I was surprised that so many people on the studio got snubbed for acting. All right, then, so speaking of that, let's go to acting. Best actor in a comedy or musical. Who should win? I can't believe Glenn Powell got nominated for Chad Powers. I was talking to somebody else this morning and they were like, I can't believe that crappy show got renewed, but it did. Martin Short, Jeremy Allen White, they really love The Bear. I don't know why. I think The Bear has become unwatchable in my opinion. I mean, I loved it too for that second season was amazing, but it's bad now. But I love Martin Short on Only Murders in the Building. I think he does a lovely job. However, I think Seth Rogen should and will win. I think he's incredible on the studio. I think it's a love letter. I think it's a very honest love letter to Hollywood. And I think it's beautiful. I just really, I think the studio is an incredible show and Seth Rogen deserves to win and will win. All right, hold on. I got to recalibrate. Okay, then Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy. Let's see here. Oh, Abbott Elementary was snubbed here. They don't have enough spots. Okay, TV, again, what did I tell you? Way too much good. Yeah, Quinta Brunson's not here. At least she's in Zootopia too, man. But they put Jenna Ortega in here instead for Wednesday. And then also, of course, Natasha Lyonne for Poker Face. And Selena Gomez, I'm glad to see her getting nominated as well. Jean Smart, she wins too many times. I don't want to see her win. I mean, it's just too much already. We get it. She's fabulous in the role. Yeah, I would like to see Selena Gomez win. I don't think she gets any credit for the job that she does on Only Murders in the Building. They're always leaving her off. And as for who will win, I think it might be her. I think it might be a pity prize because Poker Face was canceled. Or it might be just Jean Smart again. I think they only nominated Jenna Ortega to get her to walk the red carpet, which again, I thought they were supposed to have moved past at this point. All right, then, Best Limited Series. And this is nuts. Limited series and like, I mean, this is just, again, you're like, what category is this? I gotta watch The Beast in Me. Look how many nominations it got. I did watch Dying for Sex until the end when it became too sad. It's based on a real story, by the way. Go to your medical appointments. Don't trust your doctors. Always get a second opinion. That is a scary show. And it's beautiful, but it came out a really long time ago. As for who will win, I think it'll be Adolescence, to be honest with you. But as for who should win, I think Adolescence already won too much stuff. We get it. I wish all these things were on the same timetable. It's like we already did the Adolescence thing. I would love to see All Her Fault win. I really, really like that show. Again, I think it's commentary on women today and the personal and professional limbo that we find ourselves in is just so timely and so well done. I would like to see it win, but I don't think that it will. All right, and it's just a darn good mystery. Okay, don't let anyone ruin it for you. All right, then, Best Male Actor in a Limited Series or Movie. I don't even know what this thing is that Jacob will already got. This category is stupid. Charlie Hunnam for playing the Ed Gaines, I think he was awful there. Jude Law for Black Rabbit, unwatchable. I didn't see that Paul Giamatti episode, and I always love Matthew Rhys. But I gotta tell you, it's gonna be Stephen Graham for Adolescence, for sure. Not only because it's an important show, but you know, he's really the face of it because he was the co-creator and co-writer. I think Stephen Graham should and will win. And by the way, Stephen Graham is the British Paul Giamatti, which I think it's funny that they're next to each other there. All right, then Best Female Actor in one of these. All right, this is also a crazy category. Oh yeah, The Girlfriend. I had to stop watching The Girlfriend because I felt that both perspectives were disingenuous. Like I'd be like, how can the other perspective not have included any of this? What? But I agree with all of you. I think for us who should win, Sarah Snook for All Her Fault. She was really good on All Her Fault. Really, really good. Although I would also be happy with Rashida Jones for Black Mirror. That was a devastating episode. And I think very honest about where we're headed. That was very Black Mirror-y for sure. So I'd be happy with Sarah Snook or Rashida Jones. As for who will win, who knows? I mean, these are all crazy options. I think it could be honestly any of them. I don't think one of them is the standout. You know, I mean, there's personal preference. I mean, maybe Amanda Seyfried. She has 2 nominations, though. I didn't watch The Beast in Me, so I don't know if Claire Danes is good in that or not, although she is very well liked as an actress in the industry. All right, then, Best Supporting Male Actor in Any Television Show. This is what's so nuts about this. You have people on television shows competing with limited series. And then, of course, everybody in White Lotus is supporting. So they just completely have 3 they have 2 for White Lotus. Then you got 2 for Adolescence. You're like, what is this? Then Severance. Look at poor Tremel Tillman. He's like, how'd I get in this category? I mean, this is just insane. All right, so as for who should win, I think it should be Tremel Tillman. I mean, I'm sorry, Owen Cooper, but Tremel Tillman is incredible with the character that he created in Severance. I'm sorry. You know, as for who should win, I think it's between those 2. It's going to be Owen Cooper or Tremel Tillman. He's a child, so he might win out of sympathy. But it should be Tremel Tillman. But it might be this kid, because he's a kid. They're like, we don't want to cut to a sad kid. You're like, he's fine. He'll get over it. All right. You want a sad Tremel Tillman? I don't want that either. All right. Best Supporting Female Actor in Any Television Property. All right. So this is a really ridiculously difficult category as well. White Lotus got 3 in here. Look at that. They pushed out Catherine Hahn for The Studio because it's just so ridiculously crowded over here. This is so dumb. Now, as for who will win, I mean, we all know it's going to be Erin Doherty for Adolescence. Hannah Einbinder as well. They both won the Emmys in their respective categories. It's nuts. It's going to be one of those 2. As for who should win, I'm going to go Hannah Einbinder. Because I don't think Hannah Einbinder has gotten enough credit for how much she does in Hacks. Hacks is not the Jean Smart show. It's very much a 2-hander. And she should be recognized for that. And she did just get the Emmy. All right, then. Oh, that's it. All right, so those are the nominations. Is that it? Yeah, those are the nominations. All right, so let's do another 5 minutes of questions, baby. Let me get the top thing up here. All right. Let me do another 5 minutes. All right, baby. Longest stream of the year. That's right. It's the longest we've ever gone. And I want to thank everybody, so many of you, for tuning in for part of the stream or all of the stream. You don't like Hacks, Armin? Oh, it's very, Hollywood loves stories about itself. And it's very Hollywood-centric. CJ says, you're done with the Hacks wins? Oh, it's got one more left. I'm sorry to say. CJ, I'm not sure how Emily Blunt made it at Not Wunmi Musaku, especially since she just won another awards show. There's got to be some shenanigans behind the scenes, like on that. Danny, I'm glad you finally got the higher badge. That's great. And yes, I did get the last episode of Welcome to Derry. I'm going to watch it after this stream with my lunch. I'm so glad you're enjoying The Diplomat, Oasis. Everybody should watch All Her Fault. Everybody should watch Pluribus. Everybody should watch The Diplomat. Everybody should watch. You guys got me to watch Slow Horses. Incredible show. I love Slow Horses. I even love the new season. Although I prefer Slow Horses as a binge. Let's see here. Yeah, Heaven Fighter. The noms are not that exciting. I think they're going to have an uphill battle in getting people to tune in for this. Atmosphere says, between Pluribus, Severance, Slow Horses, and The Studio is Apple TV low-key the new HBO. Fascinating comment. If Netflix manages to ruin HBO, could Apple TV step into that place? Maybe they could hire away Casey Bloys. I'd be like, you want to come work here? We also have a bottomless well of cash. Kay Walton says, are you surprised that Marty Supreme was snubbed in director and supporting actress? Not in supporting actress. I don't think that's had any momentum there. There just aren't enough nominations to go around. I thought that Josh Safdie did an incredible job, and I, in fact, did vote for him for Best Director for Critics' Choice, where I think we did nominate him, actually, off the top of my head. Marty Supreme is an incredible movie. I really think that should be on your radar. David, I don't think Jennifer Lopez ever had any Oscar chances. Big League Chew says, Grace, do we feel there's a Golden Globe So white moment coming. Many snubs are talent of color. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see how they treat sinners. That's going to be a real litmus test. You know, they better not Barbie it. Oh, that's great to hear, Just Blaze Disney. That makes me so happy. David says, can you give us a mini review of Sentimental Value? Maybe when it's slow, I'll do all the foreign films. I'll do No Other Choice, The Secret Agent, and Sentimental Value, which are the ones I really want to watch. Oh, I love seeing all the Diplomat love. You guys are making me so happy. I'd love to watch The Beast in Me, but I only have so many hours in the day. I'm really falling behind. I got to watch my Christmas movies too, man. First Christmas movie of the year, The Shop Around the Corner. It was a delight. I love Janelle James. Abbott Elementary looks very funny to me, but I just haven't had it. I just, for some reason, haven't had a chance. I see that I always enjoyed the clips and everything, and I like the actresses. The first year that I was in the Macy's Parade, an actress from Abbott Elementary was Mrs. Claus. She was really very kind. Marjorie says, hey Grace, do you watch Variety's Actors on Actors series? I like keep an eye on it. I like see the clips on social media, but I don't actually sit down and watch it. Sarah, I'm not too surprised about the Knives Out. I mean, I really liked Wake Up Dead Man. I thought it was actually a really good movie. It might be on my best movies of the year list. You know, I'm still thinking about it. But I'm not surprised about the snub. I think it has the weakest ensemble. Let's see here. Oh, look, Thilo says, you're not the only one going to advanced screenings, Grace. You also saw Marty Supreme, and you did not care for it. Well, it's very New York City coded. I mean, I was like, so New York. So, you know, maybe not everybody will find it as endearing, but I loved it. Oh, thank you, Claireborn. Says, hi, Grace. I saw the Testament of Ann Lee at Film Fest in October, and it was you were mesmerized. Oh, I'm so glad that you liked it so much. I don't know if I'm gonna. I mean, as you can see, I gotta watch new movies. I gotta watch a lot of TV. I gotta start my Fallout screeners, man. I got Fallout. I got the first 6 episodes of Fallout. I think Fallout might have picked a really bad time to release. It releases the day after Avatar. The Avatar review embargo. No, the review embargo for Fallout lifts when the review embargo for Avatar lifts. So I might not review Fallout until the next day. So it's like, dude, you know, it's like this was actually, I think, an awful time to drop that show. But that's okay. It's going to be a weekly release, so people will catch up on it maybe after Christmas. But then you're going to be watching Stranger Things. I think this was a bad time to drop Fallout. And then Brian says, not sticking the landing is going to hurt Wicked. I would agree. John says, ended up liking Hamnet. I'm glad you did. I don't think I'm going to watch it. I got too much other stuff to watch, and I really don't like Chloe Zhao as a director. Oh, Billy, yeah, it's a shame that Interview with the Vampire did not get any recognition. Neither did The Boys. There just isn't enough room. Maybe with the new season. I just hope people, I'm just glad, again, I'm just so happy people are starting to watch Interview with the Vampire. Like it's finally getting there as a popular show, and that is really important as well. I'm very happy about that. All right, we had a 2-hour stream, baby. Woo! It was so fun, and so many of you watched for the whole stream. I really appreciate it. Even if you came in a little bit late, I love it. You know, if you watched half, come back for the other half. This was a lot of fun. I'm really going to start really making sure I prioritize the live streams. And so, once a month, I'll make one where anyone who's a subscriber can be in the live chat. But yeah, and we're going to continue with regular videos and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm glad that you felt like time flew because we were having so much fun, Filmer Dude. That makes me very happy. All right, everybody, I will see you real soon. More videos and live streams all this week, and there's a big trailer at the very least on Thursday. I think the other, I think the trailer that a lot of you are looking for, I don't believe is until a little later. But there will definitely be, James Gunn has confirmed it, Supergirl is definitely coming out. I heard later this week, but I will definitely be doing a live reaction and a breakdown. All right, everybody. Mwah. Bye-bye. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye.